Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here in Red Bluff, California at Factory QRC, also known as QRC Karts. Now, QRC Karts is the leading manufacturer in outlaw kart racing and has been since 1985. You can see their building behind me, and as you go back, you have the race shop. This is where all the customers come here in Northern California to purchase parts. We also have our race team located here, and in the very back of the parking lot, what we're going to be discussing today, our chassis dyno. Now, our chassis dyno, it's simply incredible. I don't really have any other words or any other way to describe it, but today we're going to give you a little tutorial of how it works. We're going to dyno a race car, and you're going to hear a lot of this information from the man himself, the owner of the company, Jimmy Elledge. All right, Jimmy, you want to tell us a little bit about the chassis dyno here and how it all works?
Yeah, so it's a drum. It's connected to an eddy current brake, which is electromagnetic, that we can control the speed and the RPMs and the sweeps or steps of what we're going to do with the test. Right now we're tying the car down and hooking up the remote throttle. We're hooking up oxygen sensors so we can read how rich or lean the engine is. And we're going to hook up all of our sensors for the water and oil temperature so we can monitor all that. As we're dynoing, we'll fire the engine up. We'll get the water filled up in the engine because this is a rebuild, so we'll do a break-in process on it. And we'll do about a 30-minute break-in and then let the thing cool all the way down, warm it back up, and then make some pulls.
You want to talk about the special tires too? We have to...
Yeah, so we have, we run slick tires on it, and it's just a tire that's the hardest tire that we could find because the drum has serrations in it, and the serrations are pretty coarse, and we don't really want to run a tread tire on there. It's just going to tear the thing up. We have this remote starter, so the wheels are special. They actually are the same pattern as our beadlock, and we built this starter, which is a common starter for Silver Crown cars or top fuel cars, and then we manufactured and made these parts here to hook up to it. We connect this to that and start it up. All right. All right, well, the break-in process is finished. What we usually do is try to control the temperature on the engine and keep it, somewhere in the 140 range for about 30 minutes. Let the piston and the rings seat in good because we've just rebuilt this engine. And so now that we've done the break-in process, we'll let the engine kind of cool down all on its own. We're going to change the main jet in it. It looks as if the muffler's broken, so we're going to check that out right quick. But we'll change the main jet because the jet that we race is a little bit richer than what we will qualify with. And we'll go with this, it makes the most power with a little bit leaner jet. So we're going to change the jet, check the muffler because it looks like it's broke, and in about 15 minutes here we'll be ready to start making power pulls. I like how our QRC design chain guard holds the float bowl screw without falling through. Yeah. That was not by design, by the way, but it worked out that way. There's the main jet. There's the fast one. Give it a new spark plug since we've done that break-in time on it. Since these two strokes are notorious for vibration, you got to make sure that cap's tight on there so it doesn't fall off. temperatures are all good. And we'll make we usually make 3 power pulls here. It takes usually about 3 runs for the engine to stabilize. And we just make sure that it's at peak power, so when we're ready to qualify, it's ready to rip.
I was telling them for the video, this it's still crazy. Like every time, like just standing here, it doesn't do it justice. You know, like how impressive this thing is.
How much stuff is going on.
It's insane.
The vibration is what's probably the most alarming thing to me. You know what I mean? Like there's the chain, what happens with the chain, and just how much vibration the whole car takes from the engine is unreal. And then the crankshafts are very expensive crankshafts that are balanced, so I would hate to see what it would be like if it was not that way.
So with this software, Jimmy is actually going to replay the run that we just did.
So you can kind of go back. You know, you can kind of go back because there's a lot going on while you're running, and there's a lot of things to look at. So you can replay the thing, and you can kind of zero in on where, you know, what you can specifically watch the torque, or you can specifically watch RPM, or you can watch air-fuel ratio, you know, or just kind of specifically look at one thing, and you can go back and replay it. So it's kind of a cool feature that this dyno has. And what we kind of have going on over here is we run 2 O2 sensors, partly because I didn't know where to put the O2 sensor in the exhaust to get the accurate reading, and reading. Some people said it needed to be in the diversion cone, some people said it needed to be in the belly, so we run it in both. We run this solo on the cars sometimes to back up what we see on the dyno. So we run both of those in parallel. A lot of times, for some reason, our software, the air-fuel ratio gets to a point where it's seeing noise or vibration or something, and it doesn't pick up the air-fuel ratio all the time, so we run both of them, and the solo unit picks it up all the time. And like I said, that's live data. We know what it is on the dyno, and then we actually run it on the cars to make sure that we're seeing the same things on the racetrack that we're seeing here on the dyno.
We've done 2 of our 3 pulls so far. This last one, this engine should make the most amount of power that it's made out of all 3 pulls. And like Jimmy said, that's kind of the process that we do. So then once it hits the track for qualifying, it has, you know, I mean, it's race ready. It's ready to roll. It's broken properly. The process is done, and now it's ready to have, you know, on-track success.
Here's something might be interesting. That's the electromagnetic brake that controls it. So it only allows this thing to accelerate at whatever setting we have it set on. So if we have it to where we want it to go 100 RPMs a second to 2,000 RPMs a second, that brake will control how fast that drum spins or how fast the engine spins it.
All right, Jamie, so first off, thank you for giving us this quick tutorial on this thing today. Let's talk about how much does this setup cost, you know, if you know, someone were to want to have this themselves.
So, for customer, I thought you meant like how much the whole thing costs.
Oh, yeah.
No, so like we're going to offer this service to anyone for, you know, $150 an hour. We have the ability, obviously, to do the 2-stroke stuff. We have already invested the money in the stuff to do fuel mapping, so we can fuel map, and we can tune on Vortex stuff and get software, and we have the stuff to tune the Yamaha the stock Yamaha boxes that we had the modules to do that.
Yeah, and then I mean, as far as the chassis dyno itself, QRC Karts obviously owns this. Like, what is this big red pallet here run?
It was a lot of sneeze guards in COVID. So when COVID happened, I was sitting around here doing absolutely nothing, and I was bored to death. And we started making the plastic guards for the companies around Tehama County. And all I wanted to do was buy an iRacing rig so I could sit at home and iRace. And we got way more sneeze guards to build than what I had originally planned. So the dyno itself was right around 30 to 35,000. The starter setup was another $5,000, and then we've got software invested in the Get software and the Vortex software. So yeah, I probably don't want to know really totally what it has. We're going to, moving forward, we're gonna shift the dyno into that corner, and we're gonna build a room around it, a soundproof room, have better air control over it. The repeatability is not bad because the weather in California is pretty consistent.
Yes.
And I like what the software has been able to do, the consistency of run to run. Your guys' engines get dynoed every week, and they pretty much, after the third run, they lay right over where they are with the same jets and with the no matter what the weather conditions. So I feel comfortable with that, but it only makes sense to do that, to have better airflow and better control of things like that, and it gives us a little more room in the building to do some other things if we need to.
So we just started using this recently, and I feel like, I mean, it's obviously helped our racing program. Jimmy Elledge engines in the CR500 class this year won 11 of the 12 Red Bluff Outlaw races. Our package, but not just opens. Every division it can be useful for.
Absolutely, I feel like we're just getting started. Obviously with our own engine program and getting it up to speed, but it's also been, we're building this tool as a resource for anybody in outlaw kart racing that wants to. It's a service, so if anyone wants their 250 engine tuned, or their 450 engine tuned, or their 500 engine tuned, or they want to come for a day and they want to bring a bunch of parts, and they want us to do parts, I can sit here and run the dyno, and they can do whatever they want to do and give them the information. But yeah, it's not just for us, it's a service for anybody, and you can call the shop at 530-527-9199 and reserve a spot, and we'll be glad to accommodate.